crowd can be intoxicating. It can give you the edge you need to defeat an opponent. It can also seal your fate, should you lose favor. The arena is not a battlefield. The thrill of the fight has waned. But how will they fare in all-out war? Gladiators have risen the ranks of fighters and have run out of challengers. With their trident and shield, they charge into the fray. Their armor minimal, and their bravado staggering. It is now time for gladiators to fight. For something greater than themselves.
Gotta talk about them. Alright. Gladiators were arena fighters, usually slaves, criminals, or mercenaries who were ordered to fight viciously and sometimes to the death for the amusement of a crowd of people. Note how I say sometimes they fight to the death. Actually, it was a very bad idea for historical gladiators to always kill their opponents because, believe it or not, it's very expensive to pay for a slave, then to arm them, then to train them, and then to have them fight. That's a lot of money and resources. You don't want to go killing your property after all, but that doesn't mean they couldn't be deadly. In fact, gladiators were usually treated to harsh conditions as slaves to toughen them, which meant they were less likely to show mercy. Now, when I think of the gladiator, I think Sorry. No, I'll be real honest. Okay, I really do not like Gladiator. Of all the heroes in For Honor, I think I dislike Gladiator the most. There is a reason, and I'll get into it, but not time yet. In all seriousness, okay, leaving aside that, when I do think of Gladiator, I think of a braggart. A show-off. The gladiator lives for the thrill of the fight. He lives for the arena. He lives to hear the crowd cheer his name. He's an absolute charlatan. He's an absolute show-off. He wants to be more flashy than he wants to be deadly. He has to kill everyone he fights in style. He's that middle school punk who claimed he could beat up anyone, who in reality he was just some scrawny little turd who loved to talk crap more than he could actually give it, and apparently has a severe foot fetish, which he's so ashamed of, he tries to punish feet everywhere by mercilessly hunting them down and... No, I'm okay now. I'm okay. Alright. I'm fine. Let's talk about his armor and weapon. So what you're looking at here is the default armor of the male gladiator. There were female gladiators in history, but let's talk male first. Historically, they didn't wear much armor, so this light lack of armor here is actually very accurate. The gladiators rarely wore chest armor, so that's why the chest is exposed here. Again, accurate, because it's sort of a challenge, you know? It's a way of saying, here's your target, give it your best shot, fool. They do wear a helmet, usually made of bronze, and I do want to zoom in on that helmet. Look at that. I actually never liked gladiator helmets. I mean, it's not like other knight helmets are exactly fantastic for their ability to see very well, but just look at some of these. He looks like a bug. Help me! Help me! Sorry, it just looks so dumb. Okay, sorry. Back to what I was saying. Gosh, okay, so he's wearing some metal pauldrons and an arm manica. He's so to protect his arm. Okay, that's accurate. Around their waist here, they seem to have a kind of loincloth with a sort of belt there, almost like a wrestler's belt. I like that. And he's wearing some greaves on his feet for the battlefield. Again, not much wrong with that. The armor is okay. The weapon, okay, let's talk weapons here. They're using the trident and buckler shield. I do take some slight issues with this. It's true that gladiators did use tridents, but they often use them in combination with a net. The net was used to snare an opponent, and then the trident would spear them once they're caught. The buckler would likely be used in combination with maybe a short sword or club. Also, it's inappropriate to think of a buckler like this as purely a defensive tool. I mean, imagine the gladiator trying to hide behind this thing. I mean, look at its size compared to him. He couldn't hide behind that. That's nothing. In reality, it can be defensive, but it's also used offensively. It's like a glorified punching glove, able to strike and keep an opponent at a distance. I would also like to add that the trident, for the arena, like I said, gladiators didn't actively try to kill each other all the time. So the trident worked for the arena because it looked flashy, it looked showy, it looked kind of awesome, and it was a nod to Poseidon, you know, the guy who carried the trident. But in an actual battlefield, I wouldn't bring a trident. It's not very practical. It's only effective in the thrust, not the slash, and even then, the prongs on it are usually so small and thin that the likelihood of hitting a vital organ is rather low. In order to be effectively deadly with the trident, you have to be very precise, which is difficult with a moving opponent. But don't worry, we'll talk about how the Gladiator deals with that nonsense. God, I hate you, Gladiator. All right, before I lose my mind again, let's go ahead and look at my Gladiator, because like I said, this is the default. This is my Gladiator. I use a female, because why the heck not? I love the ornamentation of the trident and buckler here. I also added kind of a crest on the top there, a Pegasus crest. Looks really cool. Got some nice coloration here, and as you can see, even the chest is slightly more covered up because we're not going to actually show off breasts in this, but still, it's mostly exposed, so still very light armor. However, still just as much bravado in the female as there is in the male. All right, so with all that out of the way, let's see how they fight. Gladiator moves around the ring like a boxer, weaving in and out. He looks like a boxer or some kind of serpent on the field. It's actually very fluid and funny to watch. Speaking of boxing, that's one thing we ought to talk about. Like a boxer, he can bob and weave and dodge. If you dodge right, left, or forward, you can actually perform a light attack like most other assassins. Or you can do a punch, as shown. The punch doesn't do any damage unless you have the right feats, but it does cause a stun, and it decreases some of their stamina. Now, next important facet to take in mind about the Gladiator is keep in mind he is an assassin, which means he has a temporary guard, which means it will go away after a few seconds. Only one. He also has a very interesting zone attack. His zone attack is unique because if the first part of it hits, the second part is guaranteed. If my brother had dodged the first attack, that second one would have either missed or he could have blocked it. But since I hit him with the first one, it was guaranteed to hit. Now, talking about his main moveset, the Gladiator boasts a 2-combo hit streak. He can hit once with a light, then with a heavy, light, light, heavy, heavy, light, heavy, heavy, light, whichever he wants to do.
Okay, actually, it's a 3-hit combo moveset. My fault.
No! You threw off my groove!
If the last attack is a heavy, then he can perform a very special maneuver. But first, let's take a look at his moveset. A light looks like this. A heavy looks like this. Now, if I perform a light then a heavy, that's what's called a skewer attack. It does bleed damage for as long as I can hold it. The bleed damage is dependent on how long I hold the skewer. I can actually move him around the map if I want to while doing it. Just like that. And if my brother is up against the wall, I can strike him in the face with my buckler. This causes stun damage, only a moderate amount of bleed, but it usually gets the job done. Now, that's all fine and good, but there's another thing that people need to keep in mind about the Gladiator. It's probably the most fundamental part of his moveset. It's the part that everyone talks about, everyone knows, everyone loves. Well, most everyone loves. It is his absolute hatred for all things feet. For those who don't know already, Gladiator has a severe foot fetish, and he feels so much shame in it that he tries to cover it up by attacking any foot he comes across. At least that's my theory. In any case, the Gladiator has the ability to strike an opponent's foot. This allows him to do a moderate amount of damage and usually cancel out an opponent's attack if they make one. One of the favorite movements of the Gladiator is to start a heavy attack, baiting his opponent into attacking back or to deflect it, and then as they try to dodge or deflect, he stabs him in the toe. It doesn't matter if my brother tries to dodge, I can still hit him. And if my brother tries to do an overhead attack, I can still strike him. It's one of the favorite moves of the Gladiator. It's a good thing it doesn't do more damage than it does, because if it did, I think it would drive everyone up the wall insane. But believe it or not, that's really all there is to the Gladiator moveset. Oh wait, I forgot. The parry. If someone tries to attack the Gladiator and he can parry their attack, he can actually use his buckler to stun them, or he can deflect, like any other assassin. And I'll show you the deflect. If you manage to catch your opponent in a deflect, you do an automatic skewer attack. It's difficult, it's tricky, and the timing has to be just right, but when done correctly, it can prove invaluable. I'll show you one more time. So that about sums up the Gladiator moveset. So, now that we've talked about his moveset and talked about how the Gladiator fights and annoys the spit out of everybody on the other team, let's talk about those executions. Okay, so we have talked about how the Gladiator fights, we've talked about the look, let's talk about executions. And again, even though I'm not a fan of Gladiator, I will be 100% fair to all these executions. And again, because this is a DLC hero, there will be fewer executions than the original heroes, which is fine. Let's go into it. Kava Atsum. I actually really like this execution. I love it because it's kind of the boop. Watch this at the beginning. Ah, it's funny. I love it. Okay, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. That's just really funny. And the uppercut at the end, I think, would be very, very good. But as you can see, wait for it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like it. So yeah, 10 out of 10. That works. How dare you? Like I said, the Gladiator's just a boxer. I love this. I love that brief pause after she gets punched, like, I can't believe you just did that. Excellent. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Only because I don't know if the punch would be necessarily lethal. That's the only problem. Alright, next one. Ruthless Tidings. Are you noticing a theme with her aiming for the feet? It's like I said, I feel like the Gladiator has a foot fetish and just doesn't want to admit it. The punches here are good. I like how she's constantly beating him out. You'll notice that all of my executions so far have to do with punches, and that's partially because I still don't see the trident as a very deadly weapon. I just don't, it's hard to see it. You've got to be precise with it, and you can't always guarantee precision. The punches here I would consider deadly enough because of the repetition of the punches and the addition of the buckler. So I'll give this one a 10 out of 10. Knock it off. I gotta give this one a 6 out of 10, only because there is no way that would be deadly. No way at all. I mean, this first part, stabbing the foot again, that wouldn't kill anybody. I mean, and then this part, no, that's not deadly. Hitting them with the shaft would not kill. Cause some contusions, absolutely. Maybe cause a concussion, possibly. But no, that is not deadly. 6 out of 10. But I do love, this part is funny. Bob. That is good. Fighting dirty. Yeah, I feel like we've seen this one before, though. You know, it's not bad. But again, the foot shot. Are you starting to see what I mean about this foot fetish thing? Just always aiming for the foot. Okay, so I will consider this one deadly because of the throat shot near the beginning. Watch it again. There, right there. That throat shot. Yeah, that would be deadly if you damage the throat at all. That could cut off breathing. So, yeah, I'll give that one an 8 out of 10. This is an 8 out of 10. Skilled performer. Okay, finally we see a shot with the trident. Now, with the trident, when I'm talking about kills with the trident, I need to look at placement. And here, that would actually look pretty lethal. I mean, that's stabbing right into the center mass. You're hitting the intestines. It would be a slow death, but a death all the same. Slow death. I love how fast this is. I love the grapple animation at the very beginning. Watch it again. Smack, flip, down. Okay, yeah, that one's good. I like this one. 10 out of 10. I like it. I like it. This one's feisty. Oh. Oh, nice. And the placement's perfect. Let me see it again. One more time. Okay, not bad at all. Not bad at all. All right, I'll give that one a 10 out of 10. That's pretty good. Mostly for the placement at the end. And like I said, I love it when they fight back. 10 out of 10. Brain dead. Oh, no. Gosh, dang it. Okay, first of all, if you expect me to believe that you can flip a person that easily by grappling their arm, you're kidding yourself. Secondly, no. How does a foot, a stomp, pulverize a head? That does not happen. I don't care how many days of leg day you do. That doesn't happen. That's a 4 out of 10 right there. I just do not believe that is realistic. Clarent. Oh wait, no, this is a event execution. Stop squirming. Much better. And the placement of the trident is good. That would be a death shot. It's going into the heart chest area. I love the moment where he's trying to hold her off. Very good, very good. Yes, that's excellent. Okay, that's a definite 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Maximum carnage. Okay, I like that. The placement of the trident is enough to kill. Good. And then the flip is nice. All right, I'll give that one a 7 out of 10. It's just not my style. It's not my thing. It's okay. I don't hate it, but just 7 out of 10. Reel it in. The placement of the trident in the beginning, let me see it, may or may not be deadly. It depends. I think that it's hitting the heart. And then the punch out. Okay, yeah, good clothesline there. I like that. I like that. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I'll be fair. Sleep now. Very nice, very nice. And what she just said there was, don't touch me. Very cool. The good choke out. Very creative use of the trident. Very brutal. Big fan. Okay, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Fun and roses. Ooh. Okay. Fits Gladiator's personality very well. The show-offy braggart there. It is a feet execution. Good throw. Yep. And actually, you know what? I'll give the Gladiator some credit here. You know how usually I get mad when they disarm themselves like this? Well, the Gladiator's shown themselves to be a punch master, and they're still holding the buckler, which is somewhat defensive, so it's not like they totally disarm themselves. So I'll forgive it this time. And that showiness is pretty good. Alright, 10 out of 10. You win. 10 out of 10. Wriggling victim. What? Okay. What? Okay, so my best guess is she punched him and it caused a seizure, and then she spears him in the side to stop the seizure. I'll tell you my problem with this. First of all, assuming that did cause a seizure, where you stabbed him is not necessarily immediately deadly. It would not have stopped the seizure. Might have wanted to put it in his head. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this one. There's nothing to it. I'll give it a 5 out of 10, but nothing great about this one. It didn't wow me, and it doesn't really fit Gladiator's style. Gladiator wants to show off. Gladiator wants to be cool. This didn't show off anything. This is kind of like, oh, okay, just night. Done. And that is all the Gladiator executions. Told you that wouldn't take long. So final thoughts on Gladiator, final notes. Okay, I'm going to put aside my prejudice here and really talk about Gladiator from an objective standpoint. Gladiator is probably one of the more balanced characters out there. As much as I hate the way some people play them, as much as I hate that toe stab, you know what? I'll be totally fair. Gladiator is a great contending character. There's a reason a lot of people play Gladiator. There's a reason why they're one of the best characters to use in tournament matches. Gladiators bring a lot to the field. They're good at mix-ups. They're good at bamboozling the opponent. They have a lot of ways to come at an opponent that are creative. Not only their deflect, like most assassins, but also their parry punches, their ways of toe stabbing, feinting in and out of their skewer attacks. I can't deny that Gladiator brings a lot to the game. I think what annoys me about Gladiator so much is the way people play them. I think sometimes you come across people who they pick Gladiator not because Gladiator's balanced, they pick it because they are braggarts themselves. They're toxic individuals who just love to show off how much better they are than you, and they pick the character who is personality based exactly like that. It almost feels worse when I get executed in a very showy way because it almost makes me feel worse about losing. But again, that's personal. I know a lot of people who love Gladiator and main Gladiator, and if you do, great. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you found something to love about her. There are things I like about Gladiator too, but I just think I get so tired of fighting them all the time. I think I get so tired of fighting these really try-hard Gladiators out there. But in all fairness, if you want to play Gladiator right, two things to remember. Toe stab. That's all you have to remember to be effective with Gladiator. Toe stab. I guess you could throw in a punch. I guess you could throw in a skewer. I guess you could throw in a dodge light. Okay, you could throw but if you really want to be effective with Gladiator, toe stab. You remember those two words? You'll do fine. And that's about it with Gladiator, guys. Almost done with the Knights. But now it's time to go from my most hated character in For Honor to my main. Ladies and gentlemen, tune in next time when we talk about the Lord of Darkness himself, the Black Prior. See you then.